The U.S. Dauntless was a ghost, a legend, a war story told by old veterans to wide-eyed cadets in military academies across Earth and her colonies. 50 years had passed since the ship vanished during the First Contact War with the Excelthary Dominion, yet its name still brought hushed silence to any room where it was mentioned. Lieutenant Samantha Wright had heard the stories since she was a child. Her grandfather served in the same fleet as the Dauntless, though on a different ship. He would tell her about Captain Owen Harrison and his impossible ship that seemed to dance between enemy fire. They never found a trace, her grandfather would say, staring into his drink. 6 Excelthary cruisers had it surrounded. The captain sent one last message. Remember us. Then nothing. Just empty space where a ship and 500 souls used to be. Samantha now stood on the bridge of the UEF Vigilant, staring at the stars through the main view screen. As tactical officer, she had studied every battle the Dauntless had fought. The ship's maneuvers were still taught at the academy, even with incomplete records. "Lieutenant Wright, you're daydreaming again," said a voice behind her. She turned to face Commander Eric Kelly, the Vigilant's executive officer. His face was stern, but his eyes were kind. "Sorry, sir. Just thinking about the patrol route." "Sure you were." Kelly smiled. "Report to briefing room 3 in 15 minutes. Admiral Murphy has a new assignment for us." Samantha nodded and returned to her station. The bridge hummed with quiet activity as officers monitored systems and communications. The Vigilant was a modern ship, powerful and sleek. Yet somehow, Samantha always felt it lacked something the old ships had. Character, perhaps. History. 15 minutes later, she sat in the briefing room with the other senior officers. Admiral Frank Murphy's face filled the main screen, his gray hair and weathered features a testament to decades of service. "We've detected an unusual signal at the edge of the Proxima sector," Murphy said. "Long-range scans show what appears to be a ship drifting near the Caldwell Nebula." "Pirates?" asked Captain Lisa Jordan, the Vigilant's commanding officer. "Unknown. The signal is using an old UEF emergency frequency. Very old. Pre-standardization." A chill ran down Samantha's spine. "The Vigilant is the closest ship we have," Murphy continued. "You are to investigate and report back. If it's a trap, don't engage. If it's genuine, render assistance." "Understood, Admiral," Captain Jordan replied. As the briefing ended, Samantha approached the captain. "Ma'am, that frequency, could it be from the First Contact War era?" Captain Jordan studied her tactical officer's face. "You're thinking of the Dauntless." It wasn't a question. "Every few years, someone claims to have found it," Jordan said. "It's never true." "But what if this time it is?" Samantha couldn't keep the excitement from her voice. "Lieutenant, the Dauntless is gone. It was a great ship with a brave crew, but it's been 50 years. "Yes, Mom." Later in the officers' mess, Samantha sat with her friend Dr. Alan Pierce, the ship's chief medical officer. "So we're chasing a ghost ship," he said after she told him about the mission. "Nobody said it was the Dauntless. Nobody had to. I can read it on your face." Alan sipped his coffee. "Did you know my uncle served with Harrison before the Dauntless? Said he was the most stubborn man in the fleet. Wouldn't accept defeat, ever." Samantha nodded. "That's why some people think they didn't die. That Harrison found a way out, somehow. After 50 years, they'd all be dead anyway." Alan said softly. The ship's intercom interrupted them. "All hands, prepare for FTL jump in 10 minutes. Samantha stood. Maybe. But the ship might still be out there. As she walked back to her quarters to prepare for the jump, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that something big was about to happen. The Dauntless was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's determination to survive against the overwhelming force of the Excelthary. If there was even a small chance it had been found, she wanted to be there. The legend was about to become reality. The UEF Vigilant exited FTL jump with a flash of light. The bridge crew blinked as their eyes adjusted to the view on the main screen. The Caldwell Nebula spread before them, a vast cloud of purple and blue gas illuminated by distant stars. "Scan for the signal source," Captain Jordan ordered. Samantha's fingers moved across her tactical console. "Signal detected, bearing 047 Mark 23. Distance, approximately 500,000 kilometers. On screen," the captain said. The view screen zoomed in on a dark shape against the colorful nebula. Samantha's heart skipped a beat. The silhouette was unmistakable. The sleek, predatory lines of a Valiant-class battlecruiser, a ship type that hadn't been built in over 50 years. "It can't be," whispered Commander Kelly. But it was. As the Vigilant drew closer, they could see the name painted on the battered hull. U.S. Dauntless. "Life signs?" Captain Jordan asked. "None detected," replied the sensor officer. "But there is minimal power running through some systems." Captain Jordan stood from her chair. "Commander Kelly, prepare a boarding party. Lieutenant Wright, you're with them." Samantha tried to hide her excitement as she prepared for the mission. They suited up in EVA gear with magnetic boots and emergency oxygen. The team consisted of Commander Kelly, Samantha, Engineer Chief Kyle Bennett, and 2 security officers. Their shuttle approached the legendary ship slowly. Up close, the Dauntless showed signs of incredible damage. Hull plating was scorched and buckled in dozens of places. One of the 4 engine nacelles was completely sheared off. "How is it still in one piece?" Kyle wondered aloud. "This kind of damage should have destroyed it." They docked at an airlock near the ship's bridge. Commander Kelly led the way inside, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. Emergency lighting provided a faint red glow, but most systems appeared to be offline. "Air is thin but breathable," Kyle reported after checking his readings. Temperature at 12 degrees Celsius. They removed their helmets, but kept their suits on for warmth and protection. The corridors of the Dauntless were eerily silent. No bodies, no signs of battle inside the ship. It was as if the crew had simply vanished. "It's like a museum," Samantha said, running her gloved hand along a console. The technology was old but had been cutting edge when the Dauntless disappeared. They reached the bridge, and Kyle went to work on the main computer. "Power levels at 7%, he reported. "Most systems are in hibernation mode." "Can you wake it up?" Commander Kelly asked. Kyle nodded and connected his modern tablet to the ancient systems. After several minutes of work, the bridge lights flickered on. Consoles began to glow, and the main view screen came to life. "Hello," said a female voice, making everyone jump. "I am Diana, Tactical Artificial Intelligence of the U.S. Dauntless." An AI interface appeared on the main screen, a simple blue female outline. "Diana," Commander Kelly said, stepping forward. "I am Commander Eric Kelly of the UEF Vigilant. What happened to your crew?" The AI flickered. "Data corrupted. Last recorded command. Initiate temporal preservation protocol." "Temporal preservation," Samantha repeated. "What does that mean?" "I must fulfill final protocol," Diana said, her voice breaking up. "Need assistance." "Where is Captain Harrison?" Samantha asked. The AI flickered again. "Captain Harrison. Status unknown. Memory banks damage." Kyle looked up from his tablet. "She's running on minimal power. Her core is intact, but many memory sectors are corrupted." "Can we move her?" Commander Kelly asked. Kyle nodded. "The AI core is portable. Designed that way in case of emergency." Commander Kelly tapped his comm unit. "Kelly to Vigilant. We've found the Dauntless intact. No crew, but the ship's AI is operational. Request permission to secure the AI core and prepare the ship for towing." "Granted," came Captain Jordan's voice. "Is it really the Dauntless?" Kelly looked around the bridge, at the worn seats where heroes once sat, at the consoles that had helped fight off alien invaders. "It's her, Captain. The legend has returned." 3 weeks had passed since the Dauntless was towed to Proxima Naval Yard. The massive space station orbiting Proxima Centauri had become a hub of activity as engineers, historians, and military officials swarmed over the legendary ship. Samantha stood in what had once been the captain's ready room, watching Dr. Lena Rodriguez work on Diana's memory core. The naval historian had been brought in specifically to help recover data from the ship's systems. "Any progress?" Samantha asked. Lena brushed a strand of brown hair from her face and sighed. "Some. Diana's memory banks were deliberately partitioned. It's like Captain Harrison wanted to protect certain information." On a nearby screen, Diana's blue outline flickered. "I remember fragments. The battle. The Selthuri ships surrounding us. Captain Harrison giving final orders." "What were those orders?" Samantha asked gently. "To survive. To return when needed." Diana's voice sounded almost sad. "But the complete protocol is still locked." A knock at the door interrupted them. Chief Engineer Kyle Bennett entered, his face showing excitement. "You need to see this," he said, leading them down to engineering. The Dauntless's engine room was massive compared to modern ships. Kyle pointed to an open panel where several engineers were taking measurements. "That's not standard equipment," Lena said, looking at the strange components. "Not human standard anyway," Kyle agreed. "We found dozens of modifications throughout the ship. Weapons, shields, and especially the drive system." "Alien technology?" Samantha asked. Kyle nodded. "And advanced stuff too. Beyond anything that Selthuri have." Lena's eyes widened. "A third species?" "That's classified information," said a stern voice behind them. Admiral Murphy stood in the doorway, flanked by two security officers. The old man's face was grim as he approached. "Admiral," Samantha saluted. "We were just—" "I know what you were doing, Lieutenant." Murphy's voice softened slightly. "Walk with me." They followed him to a quiet observation deck overlooking the dry-docked Dauntless. Through the massive windows, they could see workers swarming over the hull like ants. 50 years ago, we were losing the war," Murphy said quietly. "That Selthuri had better ships, better weapons. We were outnumbered. Until the Dauntless started winning impossible battles," Lena said. Murphy nodded. "Captain Harrison was given special orders. His ship was selected for a classified project." "The modifications," Kyle said. "Yes, but we never knew where the technology came from. Some thought Harrison had captured a Selthuri ship and reverse-engineered it. Others suspected he'd made contact with another alien race." Samantha looked at the Admiral. "And now?" "Now we know it was the latter. Diana's fragmented memories confirm it. A holographic display activated, showing a star map. A point of light blinked near the Caldwell Nebula. Diana calls them the Architects," Murphy continued. "An ancient species who saw the Selthuri as a threat to all life in the galaxy. They gave Harrison technology to help us fight." "So what happened to the crew?" Samantha asked. Murphy's face darkened. "That's what we still don't know." Back in engineering, Diana suddenly spoke through the ship's comm system. Memory fragment recovered, playing Captain Harrison's final log. A man's tired voice filled the room. "This is Captain Owen Harrison, U.S. Dauntless. The Architects' upgrades work better than we hoped. But the Selthuri have discovered our alliance. They're coming in force. Not just for us, but for Earth. We can't let them have this technology. The Architects have offered us a way out, a way to preserve what we've learned until humanity truly needs it. I've ordered all crew to evacuation pods. Diana and I will take the Dauntless through the nebula alone. If this works, we'll see you on the other side of time." The log ended, leaving them in silence. "The nebula," Lena whispered. "It wasn't just a hiding place." Kyle's eyes widened with understanding. "Temporal preservation. The nebula somehow sent the ship forward in time. But why now?" Samantha wondered. "Why return after 50 years?" As if in answer, The alarm klaxons began to wail throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed throughout Proxima Naval Yard. The station's AI announced in a calm voice. Alert. Unidentified vessels approaching. All personnel to battle stations. Admiral Murphy rushed to the command center with Samantha, Kyle, and Lena following close behind. The main display showed 5 large warships dropping out of FTL near the station. Sci-Fi battle cruisers, Murphy said grimly. How did they find us? The communications officer turned from her console. Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding we surrender the Dauntless. Murphy's face hardened. Scramble all fighters. Bring the station's shields to full power. Samantha stepped forward. Admiral, the station defenses won't hold against 5 battle cruisers. I know, Murphy said quietly. We have 3 UEF ships in range, but they won't arrive for 20 minutes. Kyle looked at the tactical display. Sir, what about the Dauntless? It's not battle ready, Murphy replied. Half the systems are still offline for study. Diana's voice suddenly came through the command center speakers. I can bring primary systems online in 5 minutes. Everyone turned to look at the eyes blue outline on a nearby screen. Diana. Lena said, the ship has no crew. Minimal crew required. 1 command officer, 1 engineer, 1 tactical officer. Murphy shook his head. It's too risky. The station shuddered as the first Sci-Fi shots hit the outer shields. Shield strength at 80%, reported the defense officer. They're targeting our weapons platforms. Another hit rocked the station. 65%. Murphy looked at the Dauntless through the viewport, still connected to the station by docking clamps and repair gantries. How long until our ships arrive? He asked. 18 minutes, came the reply. Too long. The station wouldn't last that long. Murphy made his decision. Lieutenant Wright, take command of the Dauntless. Chief Bennett, you're engineering. Dr. Rodriguez, continue working with Diana. Samantha felt her heart race. Sir, I'm not qualified to command a battlecruiser. None of us are qualified for this situation, Lieutenant, but you've studied the Dauntless more than anyone. You're the best choice we have. 5 minutes later, Samantha sat in the captain's chair on the Dauntless's bridge. The ship hummed around her as systems came online. Kyle worked furiously at the engineering station, while Lena helped Diana access more of the ship's functions. Main power at 60%, Kyle reported. Weapons and shields operational. Engines ready. Docking clamps released. Lena added, we're clear to launch. Samantha took a deep breath. Diana, status of targeting systems. Online. 6 Sci-Fi vessels now detected. 6. Samantha frowned. There were 5 a moment ago. A 6th vessel has just arrived. It is significantly larger. Samantha felt cold fear in her stomach. Their flagship. Correct, Diana replied. Designation. Worldbreaker. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. The Worldbreaker was infamous, a massive dreadnought that had destroyed entire colonies. Samantha squared her shoulders. Diana, plot an intercept course. We need to buy time for the station and our reinforcements. Course plotted. Warning. This vessel is operating at reduced capacity. We don't have a choice, Samantha said. Engage engines, 1/4 power. The Dauntless pulled away from the station, its ancient hull gleaming in the light of Proxima Centauri. As they approached the Sci-Fi fleet, the enemy ships began to adjust their positions. They're moving to surround us, Lena observed. They recognized the ship, Samantha realized. They know what it is. The Dauntless shuddered as its engines increased power. Suddenly, the lights on the bridge changed from standard white to a deep blue. Full systems activation initiated, Diana announced, her voice stronger and more confident. Combat protocols engage. The tactical display transformed, showing detailed information about each enemy vessel that shouldn't have been possible to obtain at this distance. What's happening? Samantha asked. The ship remembers, Diana replied simply. The Dauntless remembers how to fight. The Dauntless moved toward the Selthuri fleet like a predator stalking its prey. On the bridge, Samantha watched as new interfaces appeared on her command console, systems she had never seen before. Diana, what are these? She asked, pointing to strange symbols flowing across her screen. Architect Tactical Systems, Diana replied. The ship is bringing all advanced systems online. Kyle's voice came from engineering. Power levels rising beyond normal parameters. The reactor is doing something I don't understand. Is it dangerous? Samantha asked. No, Diana answered before Kyle could respond. It is operating as designed. The Architect's modifications are fully activating. The first Selthuri cruiser fired. Bright energy beams streaked toward the Dauntless. Brace for impact, Samantha called. But instead of the expected hit, the Dauntless moved. Not with engines or thrusters, but in a way that seemed impossible, as if space itself bent slightly. The enemy fire missed by meters. Did we just teleport? Lena asked, her eyes wide. Localized space-time manipulation, Diana explained. Limited range, but effective for evasion. Samantha leaned forward in her chair. Can we fire back? Weapons charge. Targeting solutions ready. Fire main batteries. The Dauntless's weapons came to life. Instead of the standard energy beams used by UEF ships, pulses of blue-white light erupted from the forward section. They struck the nearest Selthuri cruiser with surgical precision. The enemy shields flared and collapsed, and sections of hull began to break apart. Direct hit, Diana reported. Enemy vessel disabled. On the main screen, Samantha could see the remaining Selthuri ships adjusting their formation. The massive world breaker moved to the center, protected by its escorts. They're retreating from the station, Lena said, watching the tactical display. They're focusing entirely on us now. Good, Samantha replied. That was the plan. The communication system crackled. A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge. Human vessel Dauntless. You were not meant to return. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Samantha exchanged looks with her crew. They're scared of this ship. With good reason, Diana said. The Dauntless was the only human vessel to ever damage the world breaker. Can we do it again? Kyle asked from engineering. Unknown. Our power reserves are at 70% and dropping. The temporal journey damaged some systems. 4 Selthuri ships fired simultaneously. This time, the Dauntless couldn't evade all the shots. The ship shuddered as energy blasts struck its shields. Shield integrity at 85%, Diana reported. Minor damage to outer hull sections. Samantha studied the tactical display. We can't take on all of them. Diana, how long until UEF reinforcements arrive? 12 minutes. Too long. They needed a new plan. Diana, what other architect systems do we have? Scanning. Phase cloak available. Warning. Using the cloak will drain significant power. A cloaking device. Lena asked. UEF has been trying to develop that technology for decades. Samantha made her decision. Activate the cloak. Let's make them think we're somewhere we're not. Engaging phase cloak. The lights on the bridge dimmed as power redirected. On the view screen, Samantha could see a shimmer as the Dauntless began to fade from view. The Selthuri ships immediately started firing in all directions, trying to hit an invisible target. They're confused, Kyle said with a grin. Setting course to circle behind the worldbreaker, Samantha ordered. Let's see what their flagship is made of. As they approached the massive enemy vessel, Diana spoke. Lieutenant Wright, I am detecting an unusual signal from the worldbreaker. They appear to be scanning for specific energy signatures. Can they detect us? Not yet, but they are searching for architect technology. The Selthuri know more than they should. Suddenly, a memory flashed in Diana's systems. Captain Harrison's voice echoed through the bridge. The architects warned us. The Seltheri aren't just conquerors, they're collectors. They hunt down advanced technology and take it for themselves. That's why they want the Dauntless so badly. And that's why we can never let them have it. The recording ended, leaving the bridge in silence. That's why they attacked the naval yard, Samantha realized. They're not here to fight a war. They're here for this ship. The Dauntless glided silently behind the massive Seltheri flagship. Under cloak, they were invisible to normal sensors, but Samantha knew it wouldn't last long. Power reserves at 45%, Diana reported. Cloak will fail in approximately 3 minutes. What weapons do we have that can damage the Worldbreaker? Samantha asked. Diana displayed a schematic on the main screen. Architect phase cannons may penetrate their shields if we target these junction points. The display highlighted several spots on the enemy flagship's hull. Diana, what's the status of UEF reinforcements? Lena asked. 7 minutes until arrival. 3 UEF cruisers approaching at maximum speed. Samantha made her decision. We need to disable the Worldbreaker before our reinforcements arrive. Otherwise, they'll be destroyed. She turned to Kyle on the engineering station. Can we get more power? Kyle shook his head. Not without shutting down life support. What about weapons only? Full power to a single shot. Kyle thought for a moment. Maybe. But we'd lose the cloak immediately. Worth the risk, Samantha decided. Diana, prepare main phase cannon for maximum yield. Target their primary shield generator. Targeting. Warning. This will drain all remaining power from non-essential systems. Do it. The lights dimmed further as power redirected to weapons. The Dauntless's hull hummed with energy. Cloak failing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Dauntless shimmered back into visibility directly behind the Worldbreaker. Before the Seltheri could react, a brilliant beam of blue-white energy lanced from the human ship into the enemy flagship's vulnerable spot. The Worldbreaker's shields flared and collapsed on one side. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull. Direct hit, Kyle shouted. Their main shield generator is offline. The bridge crew barely had time to celebrate before the Seltheri responded. The 4 escort cruisers turned and opened fire. At the same time, the Worldbreaker's secondary weapons batteries swiveled toward the Dauntless. Evasive maneuvers, Samantha ordered. Diana tried to move the ship, but without full power, the space-time manipulation was limited. Several enemy shots struck the Dauntless. The ship rocked violently. Shields at 30%, Diana reported. Hull breach on deck 4, sealing emergency bulkheads. Another hit sent sparks flying from a nearby console. Lena was thrown from her seat and landed hard on the deck. Dr. Rodriguez, Samantha called, but Lena gave a thumbs up as she climbed back to her station. Power reserves critical, Diana warned. Weapons offline. The situation looked dire. The Dauntless had hurt the Worldbreaker, but not enough. The smaller Seltheri ships surrounded them, weapons charged. Diana, do we have any other options? Samantha asked desperately. There was a pause before Diana responded. Access to Captain Harrison's emergency protocols granted. Final contingency available. A new option appeared on Samantha's console. RC Atikit Kuori FUL ACTIFE. On. What does this do, Diana? Unknown. Captain Harrison sealed this protocol. It requires command authorization. Samantha hesitated only for a second. Activated. Command acknowledged. Beginning final protocol. Everything went quiet. The bridge lights shut down completely, then slowly returned with a different quality, a soft golden glow that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Diana's blue outline on the main screen changed. The simple line drawing became more detailed, more human. Her voice, when she spoke again, was different too. Full integration complete. Hello, Lieutenant Wright. Samantha stared in shock. Diana. Yes and no. The AI smiled. Actually smiled. I am what remains of Captain Owen Harrison. integrated with the Diana system. Everyone on the bridge fell silent. Before we went through the nebula, the AI continued, I transferred my consciousness into Diana's matrix as a backup. Insurance in case we failed to return. I've been here all along, but locked away until truly needed. Captain Harrison, Samantha whispered. What's left of him? Now shall we finish this fight? The Dauntless hummed with new energy. Displays showed power levels rising beyond anything they had seen before. The Architect Core is fully online, Harrison/Diana announced. This is what the Seltheri have been afraid of for 50 years. Golden light pulsed through the Dauntless. The ship's hull seemed to heal itself as metal flowed like water, sealing breaches and reinforcing damaged areas. What's happening? Kyle asked, staring at his engineering console where impossible readings flashed. The architects built their technology to adapt and evolve, Harrison/Diana explained. For 50 years, the ship has been preparing for this moment. On the main screen, they could see that Seltheri ships hesitating. The World Breaker was moving away, its damaged sections still sparking. They recognize what's happening, Harrison/Diana said. They've seen this technology before, and they fear it. The communication system crackled. Admiral Murphy's voice came through. Dauntless, this is Proxima Command. UEF reinforcements will arrive in 3 minutes. What's your status? Samantha took a deep breath. Admiral, this is Lieutenant Wright. The Dauntless is evolving. We've activated some kind of emergency protocol. Captain Harrison's consciousness is in the ship's eye. There was a long pause before Murphy responded. Understood, Lieutenant. Can you hold out until reinforcements arrive? Harrison/Diana answered before Samantha could. We're not waiting. Admiral, the Seltheri must not escape with knowledge of this ship's capabilities. The Dauntless surged forward, its engines glowing with energy unlike anything human ships produced. The Seltheri escort vessels fired desperately, but their shots seemed to pass through the human ship or bend around it. Space-time manipulation field at full power, Harrison/Diana reported. Targeting solutions ready. Fire at will, Samantha ordered. Multiple beams of energy lanced from the Dauntless, each finding a critical point on the Seltheri cruisers. 2 ships exploded immediately. A third drifted powerless, its systems completely shut down. Only the World Breaker and 1 escort remained. They turned to flee, their engines glowing as they prepared to jump to FTL. They're escaping, Lena said. Not today. Harrison/Diana replied. The Dauntless's weapons reconfigured. A sphere of golden energy formed at the front of the ship, growing larger by the second. What is that? Samantha asked. Architect Gravitational Lance. It will disable their FTL drives without destroying the ships. The sphere launched forward, expanding into a wave that washed over the fleeing Seltheri vessels. Their engines sputtered and died as the wave passed through them. 3 UEF cruisers dropped out of FTL behind the Dauntless, weapons charged and ready. Dauntless, this is Captain Gray Howard of the UEF Intrepid. We have the enemy vessels targeted. Samantha smiled. Perfect timing, Intrepid. The Seltheri ships, trapped and outgunned, powered down their weapons. The battle was over. Later, as the Dauntless docked once more at Proxima Naval Yard, Samantha stood on the bridge with Admiral Murphy and her crew. The Seltheri commander has surrendered, Murphy informed them. This is the first time we've captured their flagship. The intelligence value is enormous. And the ship? Samantha asked, looking around at the now quiet bridge. Harrison/Diana appeared on the main screen, his/her form more detailed than before, almost human. The Dauntless has served its purpose, the AI said. I returned the ship when humanity needed it most. The architects knew that Seltheri would eventually discover what happened 50 years ago. They would come looking for this technology. And now? Kyle asked. Now humanity has a choice. The architects shared their knowledge because they saw potential in us. They believed we would use it wisely. Admiral Murphy nodded solemnly. We will. This technology could help end the war once and for all. Harrison/Diana smiled. That was always the plan, Admiral. Samantha stepped forward. What happens to you, Captain? I will remain with the ship. There is much to teach your engineers, and the Dauntless will need a guide, as it helps build the next generation of vessels. Murphy turned to Samantha. Lieutenant Wright, you've shown exceptional skill under impossible circumstances. I'm recommending you for promotion and permanent assignment to the Dauntless as its new captain. Samantha looked around the bridge, at Kyle, at Lena, and finally at Harrison/Diana on the screen. I would be honored, Admiral. The legend of the Dauntless was no longer just a story told to cadets. It was now the beginning of a new chapter for humanity among the stars.